Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 4AM Crew podcast. It's Cole. Alongside me are Dom and Colton. Today's podcast will be Friday's sports forecast. Be sure to give us a follow on our social medias: Twitter at the 4AM Crew Pod, Instagram at the 4AM Crew Pod as well. We bring these podcasts to YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. You can search us up at the 4AM Crew Podcast. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a follow. So, how was everybody's day today?
I mean, it would have been a lot better if your intro would have went a lot smoother the first couple times.
Hey, I mean,
I
haven't done an intro in a while.
This man literally opened up with, "Hi guys, I am Cole."
Dude, I was reading. That's what I thought you guys told me to say. I was like, so you want me to say I am Cole?
I didn't know we were taking lines from Guardians of the Galaxy, buddy.
Hey, okay, buddy. Okay. That's a hit right to the heart. I see how it is. Okay.
I am Groot.
Okay, buddy. Alright, let's transition into the podcast. So, today's Friday, so we're going to be talking about the preview of the games and everything, but start off with college football. One of the big talks transitioning from college to the NFL, Tua. Tua's gotten hurt. This is his fourth time getting hurt, and he might want to return for his senior season, and he might want to just go to the NFL and make his money and then possibly get hurt there. What do you guys think he's going to do? You think he's going to the NFL, or do you think he's staying?
That's a tough situation for Tua. Originally, though, the hip injury was thought to be way worse than it is, so I guess that's good. But it's still going to put a very dark shadow over him to NFL teams, and he's going to be quite a risk to take. Will they take that risk? More than likely, yes. Will he be taken as high as what he originally would have? Probably not. But then he has a choice. Does he want to go to the NFL and take the risk of dropping, or does he want to go to college and try to reassure teams that he's still the Tua he once was? Which can also be another negative, because if he goes to college and finds out he is no longer the Tua he once was, he will hurt his draft stock even more and potentially hurt his NFL career while doing it.
Well, currently, I seen that his draft stock, he's labeled as going to be 13th in the draft, supposedly. That's what everybody thinks.
Still,
so
after
if
the
he,
injury, they still have him
so
13th?
if he's at 13th, I believe he's going to go. I mean, he's still going to make he's going to make a couple million from that. So
if they still project him in the first round, he needs to go.
And there's nothing that from going from 13 to like the top 5 is really going to do anything crazy, because he could easily get hurt. This is his fourth injury. If he gets his fifth, his knee's basically gone by then. But.
Yeah, he suffered a scary hip injury a few games ago, and people were comparing him to a very bad injury earlier on. Who was it? Who was it? Was it Bo Jackson? Is that who was saying his injury was compared to his hip injury? I believe that's
sure.
who it was.
But
Career, and yeah, he actually had a hip replacement. His injury was so bad, and people were thinking that Tua's injury could have been that injury to that degree. Fortunately for him, though, it wasn't. Everybody was over exaggerating it. It's still a pretty bad injury, yet he can recover a lot smoother, and it will not be a career-ending injury. So
I don't think he should stay, though. I definitely feel like he should get the money if he's gonna walk out.
Oh yeah, definitely. If he just got injured, but he's still projected a first-round pick, it's not really hurting his draft stock, then I'd definitely take the money and go. No reason to risk that going to college for another year.
And I don't think that hurts Bama at all, because I still think their backup QB he still can be really good. I mean, in that game with that much preparation, I want to see how he actually does with the whole summer with Saban and getting everything set up. But all right, let's move on.
Bama is also getting the number 1 quarterback recruit in the country this year, so I don't think Tua leaving is hurting them too much.
Oh, who are they getting?
I believe his name is Bryce Young. He plays for Mater Dei in California. He's a dual threat quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, yeah, then
right.
definitely. He doesn't have any pressure from Bama to say then. I would say.
Yeah, he was the California Gatorade Player of the Year.
Oh, alrighty then. And that's when people are saying Bama's not getting the same recruits anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the top 4. Would you want to talk about that with the top 4?
I just wanted to discuss the top 4 that came out on Tuesday night, along with the 5, 6, and 7, because those are the main playoff threats, and how I once again am disappointed in the committee.
How?
Well, the top four is fine. Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, Georgia. That is fine. I get why Ohio State's up there. They've had a more convincing wins against their top plays, even though LSU may have just the same amount of top wins as Ohio State. Ohio State's done it more convincingly. I get it. It may have not been against SEC teams, which I think are a little more difficult, but they look good while they're doing it, and that's what the committee likes. Now, the five, Utah. I don't understand how their resume gets them the five. They haven't beat a ranked opponent. Why do they deserve to be so high when they already have a loss and they don't have a ranked opponent win? Like both Baylor and Oklahoma have the same record and better wins and resumes than Utah. Why are they five?
I think that they've been ranked there since the early stages of the committee choosing. They've been ranked higher, so I just don't feel like there's been
Well,
enough time for
why
them.
are they ranked higher? What is this committee seeing? They're impressed by them beating unranked teams by a large margin.
You could say, I
Congratulations.
mean, you could say the same for
That's what
Clemson too.
Clemson's doing, and
Yeah,
Clemson's getting 8.
I think the committee has to choose between record and the eye test, and I think they get lost on which sometimes
I
where to
think the
choose
eye
from.
test might hurt a little bit when you're playing bad teams. As for Clemson, they're playing bad teams and blowing them out, yet they're third in the undefeated teams. But somehow Utah is doing the same thing, but they're first in the 3 1-loss teams. That doesn't make any sense. Besides Georgia, obviously, but we're talking here about with Georgia losing. These will be the 3 1-loss teams. And how are they above these other two teams?
Well, technically they're second in the one loss teams.
I just said that.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like the committee just thinks highly of him for some reason. I don't know. The committee's been strange this season for sure. I don't know. I mean, but
Colton, what do you think about the whole Utah situation?
I personally don't really, not that I don't care about the who's outside of the top four, but I think the only thing that really matters is who's in at the end of the day is who's in the final four. So I don't really think it matters.
Do you believe? But what if Utah ends up in that Final Four because the committee thinks so highly of them? Will you agree with that choosing?
I don't think they will, but I mean, if they do, then no. But I don't. I guess we'll just have to wait.
I think the main game that only really matters is the Baylor Oklahoma. It's really the main game for people to watch besides the LSU and Georgia game. Those are the two
I see
deciding
Baylor
games.
coming out on top of that one anyways. So
Really?
like I said, it just doesn't really. Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that too. So,
Yeah, let's talk about that because I've heard from many people on the big sports network saying if Baylor were to win, they wouldn't get in over Utah.
and
But
even
if Oklahoma
the
wins, they
percentages
have a
right
good
now.
chance.
Yeah, the percentages of Baylor being able to get in right now is 7%.
I don't
Oklahoma
get
has
the Baylor hate.
Oklahoma has the highest with 30.
Isn't there like only loss to fucking Utah?
No, their only loss is to Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, that's what.
And they destroyed them in the first half, and then they just blew their lead. So
So yeah,
I don't know why they think
they cucked themselves with that. But then again, if they win this championship game, they avenge their only loss to a number 6 ranked Oklahoma. Why is Baylor not in consideration for that top four spot as much as Oklahoma or Utah? This is a good team with a very good loss and a very good resume. I don't get why everybody is so down on this team when their only loss is to Oklahoma, and if they were to win this Big 12 championship, it would be avenging that loss. So practically, any team that they would lose to, they are better than at this point.
I just think it's all these ESPN commentators overlooking Baylor. I don't know if the committee is overlooking Baylor though. I think the committee's definitely looking for that game. I don't think they're only looking for Oklahoma out of that game though.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
you could
very true.
argue it. Maybe if they are, they're gonna look at if Oklahoma should be in it. You know, like because if they lose to Baylor, I don't see them putting it in.
Well, no,
That
any
man.
2-loss team is not going in. Any 2-loss team is not going in. If Georgia loses, they're not going in. Utah loses, they're not going in. Oklahoma, Baylor lose, that team's not going in. No 2-loss team is going in. This will be a 1-loss team going into this final spot. It's just an argument of how impressed are the committee in Utah compared to an Oklahoma Baylor Big 12 champ. I'm hoping that a Oklahoma Baylor Big 12 champ trumps a Utah Pac-12 championship over a 2-loss Oregon team. That's all I want to say.
So something I just thought of right now. Out of all of the past college football playoffs, you think this ranks as one of the most stacked playoffs?
Mm.
If you think about it,
I
Well,
think it's power heavy at the top, and the bottom two will have some fun.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you got the returning champs in there that barely
Mm-hmm.
lost anybody. You got the powerhouse LSU, and then you got the powerhouse Ohio. I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's been the most stacked season so far.
I just like to point this out, Cole. Most Ohio State fans get pissed when you just call them Ohio. So the fact that you call them Ohio makes me feel like you're not that big of a fan.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
I've been an
the
Ohio
fact
fan.
that
I
you
can say
don't say
whatever I want.
the Ohio
Yeah.
State,
The fact that you didn't include the is even worse.
Well, I don't care.
the
I've been an
40
Ohio fan
podcast.
longer than most.
Yeah, I would agree with you that the top two, maybe three, are pretty heavy. But then again, then there's just four. That's not too good. I feel like that's happened in recent years, except for one of the first years when Ohio State snuck in at the four over a TCU team, and that Ohio State team ended up being the best team in the country.
Yeah.
Do we have that here? Do we have a top four team that could sneak in and be the best team in the country?
No, I don't think any of those teams will stand a chance. And
I mean,
I
maybe.
think you.
if they make it, if they beat the number one team at the in the thing, then I still don't think it's gonna happen in the championship game.
Maybe Baylor, but I don't see them putting Baylor in. 'Cause they don't
I don't see them
Baylor?
beating like Ohio State and then beating either Clemson or LSU.
I mean, I could see him beating Clemson. I don't know about. I could see him beating Clemson. I can't. I don't know.
If Baylor can play four quarters against Oklahoma, they way they played their first two. Baylor is a very good and convincing team, and I feel like Baylor could give a good fighting chance.
Yeah, Baylor.
But that's the question: can they play four quarters like they did against Oklahoma in the first two?
That's the same with Oklahoma.
But at the end of the
Very
day,
true.
I don't see Georgia losing.
You don't see Georgia losing to LSU?
Yeah, I mean we hear. Yeah, let's talk about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good transition. Let's talk about that. Actually, let's get into that later though. What's the first game you want to talk about with the championship games?
Let's just talk about the Pac-12 championship because it's the Friday night game. It's the first one. It's one of the most important ones if Utah were to win. But yeah, let's just talk about that. Utah versus Oregon, the 5 versus the 13.
Everybody thinks Oregon is the better team. I don't see Utah winning it. But they also, I mean, they could, but I don't see them winning it mainly because they're only ranked team that they lost to. And if they're going to play a top 15 team, Oregon, who is highly thought about from the committee, I don't see it happening.
Majority of the season, Oregon was seen very highly, which scares me for Utah because they are the exact same thing Oregon was, a Pac-12 team seen very highly that didn't play too many big good games. And well, now Utah is in that big game, and now it's time to show if they're a repeat of Oregon or they are a good football team that deserves to be in the college football playoff.
And Utah believes they deserve to be in it, so they better show out if they think they're. But I don't think their schedule shows enough strength. They're gonna have to win probably by like 3 touchdowns, I would say, in order for them to not get trumped.
I don't know about 3 touchdowns because, like I said, the committee has seen highly of this team if they've had them above Oklahoma and Baylor all year. So, do they need to win by 3 touchdowns? I don't know. 2 or 1 may just be enough. But really, I don't know. But do I believe Utah wins this game? No.
Yeah, I don't think
is
they
the
win
better
it.
team.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they win it.
Utah is the favorites in this game by a touchdown, but I don't think they come out on top tonight. I think the Oregon Ducks win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and if you're Oregon, you got to be pissed that you don't have a chance at going to the playoffs. So why not ruin it for another team
Exactly.
and possibly get a better bowl game out of it?
Oh, without a doubt. And then you get a Pac-12 championship to your name as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So for the seniors that may think it's over there, they better just think about that.
I think Oregon is the better team. I think it shows. Utah hasn't played anything too rough this year, and it's going to show in this game, unfortunately, for them. Oregon, 2 touchdowns.
All right. So what's the next game you want to talk about?
The next game would be the Big 12, which is it's great that these are the first 2 championship games because this almost answers your question.
It's actually funny.
If Georgia loses, it just gives you the
And
answer. Who gets the 4 seed if Georgia loses?
I just want to take back what I said about Georgia because I've been hating on them ever since.
Well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get them in a minute. We're at the Oklahoma game right now. So Oklahoma is the 6th ranked team versus Baylor, the 7. This game is played tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Time. This is a big game.
I see
That's
Baylor.
dude. That's let's talk about that. How's it feel to have an early game at 11 and it's a championship game? That's gotta
Yeah, that
suck.
kind of sucks. It kind of sucks having a big game at right at noon, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like that blows.
You're waking up
It-
probably 8, 9
I see
o'clock.
Baylor coming out on it though.
You
on this one.
see Baylor coming out with it?
Yeah,
I
for
see
sure.
a really close game. I think this is going to be a lot closer than people expect. People are just expecting Oklahoma to take this, and I don't know if that's the thing. Like I said, that one loss to Oklahoma, people are underrating Baylor a lot. And it's like they're just forgetting about Baylor's first half. I get it. They choked. They really did. But Baylor was killing Oklahoma in the onset. Like
Yeah,
can
but
happen
Oklahoma
again.
had a lot of turnovers. That's why.
Oklahoma is the 8.5-point favorite, and I think that's total disrespect to Baylor. Baylor is a
Oh
good
yeah.
team.
I
They're
definitely,
almost as
I
good as
think that
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's
Maybe
going to win
be
by.
better.
It's going to be a one possession. It's going to either be a 3 or 7 point possession difference for them to win. But the main thing with them playing in the first game and why it was a big difference, it just had a lot of mental turnovers. What was it? 2 picks or 2 fumbles, something like that. In that game, I think it.
It was something.
I know there
like
was
that.
3 total
Oklahoma was
turnovers.
not playing their best.
Yeah, so I mean, if they just don't turn over the ball, and I think they have it. But I still think either way, if they don't turn it over, it's going to be a one possession game. I think it's going to be that
Oklahoma-
throughout the whole game.
Oklahoma has a very good quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Let me tell you, Jalen Hurts is
yeah.
going to want to win this game to prove to Alabama, you messed up by letting me transfer. I am leading my team to the college football playoff, which you guys could not do. This is a big showing out game for Jalen Hurts, and I feel like he steps up in a big way. He's played great all year, but I feel like he has a huge game for Oklahoma here.
Yeah, it'll be good for him, just because his team that didn't support him as being the top QB. They're not even in the running, and if he can go and put himself in that number 4 position, that'd be a good story for him. Plus,
It'd
this will
be
be
a nice way
Oklahoma's
to end
second
his
time
college
squeezing in at
football
number
career.
4. Because
Yeah.
last year they got in at number 4.
Yeah, Oklahoma's had some nice little quarterbacks get them in these playoffs, and Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. It's Jalen Hurts' time. He needs to. He wants to continue this. He needs to do it. He wants to do it. It's how he wants to go out. I see Jalen Hurts leading this team to a victory, a very close victory, but he leads them to a victory. They have one of the best wide receivers in CD Lamb on their side. He's probably a first, second round draft pick in the draft. Would you not agree?
Yeah. They got some talent on their team, definitely. So, I mean, we'll see. But so Colton, you got Baylor. How close do you think it is going to be? Score difference.
I think it's still gonna be close. I
You
give
think
it
it'll
like
be a one possession? Probably still.
No.
What do you think it's going to be? 2 possession?
Maybe a touchdown and a field goal. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's one
Maybe.
possession. Are you talking about 7 to 10 or 3 to 7 points?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know. Probably 3-7.
Okay, so one possession. Yeah. So Colton's got Baylor. We got Oklahoma. It's going to be one
I've
possession
got
different.
Oklahoma, but there's something inside of me that would love to pick Baylor. I just can't. But that's telling me that this is going to be a great game, and this is going to be an awesome game to start off the college football day tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that just sucks to have a game that early. But let's talk about the LSU game.
Oh yeah.
Oof, LSU and Georgia. I don't think this game is. Or do you think this game is bigger than the Oklahoma game?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
Georgia wins, the rest of the games can go fuck
Yeah,
off
yeah,
because
true,
they
true.
don't matter.
But then, I mean, I want to talk about this. I thought way earlier until probably today or yesterday that LSU was just gonna probably steamroll and easily win. But now I'm starting to. I don't know.
I feel the exact same way, man. People are starting to convince me. I was a Georgia hater all year. I did not have them in my top 4 until Alabama lost.
Because all of Georgia's games have been close. But then if you start looking
I
at.
feel like that's how they play. They don't have a top tier offense, but their defense is great, and that's just the way they play football.
And if you think about it, LSU's ranked games are kind of close. So.
I know that any top SEC team has been a close game, man. The Alabama game was a 4-point game. Auburn was a 3-point game. Like none of these are like, ooh, LSU won that easily. Like, no, they had to dig these out, and Georgia is a good football team. I think it
Yeah.
all ends up on how well Jake Fromm plays.
Yep, that's what I was just gonna say. From he's I read it earlier. He's at 60% on the season with passing, and I don't believe it's his wide receivers. There were some commentators talking about his receivers have been on and off the field. No, Fromm hasn't been performing, and he needs to show up in this game in order to keep his team alive.
Fromm has to be a good decision maker. He only has 3 interceptions this year. He needs to keep it that way. He can't make any mistakes, or his team will not win this football game. He also needs to be able to air it out a couple times. He usually just throws these short routes. He needs some deep balls in this game in order to pull off the upset. You can't play conservative against a team like LSU. You got to take the shots.
Oh yeah, air it out. That's what I've seen. Like Bama and LSU never can control a deep ball ever. So if you can get a deep ball out, I think he's good. I don't know. I don't think you play slants and quick passes
No.
against LSU.
In the college game, if you want an upset, you need the big plays, and Jake Fromm's gonna need to produce a couple of them in order to pull this off. And he's not been very accurate with his deep ball. He's been scared to throw it. He needs to go to it. He needs to be accurate. He needs to throw him for touchdowns.
And then I think their defense. I think they got a pretty good idea what they want to do with Joe Burrow. I mean,
Yeah, try your best to not let him throw for 300, 400 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns.
they just need to have a linebacker watching him at all times, and I don't. That's like the best way though. Just have your a center back watching him.
Yeah, we talked about Georgia's defense, but the key to this game is Georgia's offense. They need to score more than 20 points to win this game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the team that's gonna win is gonna score 30 plus, for sure.
And I don't know. I don't think Georgia's capable of scoring 30 plus is my one problem.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, that's
I think if they're lucky, they can score about 28.
because
If
I
they're
mean, you
lucky.
think about that. That's a touchdown a quarter. So
Yeah.
it seems like it should be possible, but I mean, if you think about it in these games, if they're running the ball and not passing, that clock's going down quick.
Yeah, they better hope they can run this clock because LSU loves to score and score fast so they get more opportunities to score again. So if Georgia wants to win this game, they need to control the tempo. They need to have possession of the ball way longer than LSU, and they need to hold Joe Burrow to 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think if Georgia wins, it'll be a super close one, maybe like 28, 24, 24, 21, something like that. But it's not going to be if you let LSU get in the 30s or high 20s. You're not winning this game.
And I think that is this Joe Burrow's first championship game?
I would
think- yeah,
probably
I think
think
it
so.
actually is.
I would think so.
Because he sat on the bench at Ohio, went over, lost to Bama the first year. So yeah, this is his first championship game. I don't know if that has any effect with him, because he's played in some high games already. But
Yeah, he's played. It's the SEC. Every game's usually big, and he's played pretty well considering he's the hands-on favorite to win the Heisman this year. So I don't think big games really affect him. But I guess that could be a factor we should probably watch.
I never thought about that. But let's move on to some more Heisman
Whoa,
guys. Oh, you want to?
We gonna give our predictions or what?
Oh, okay, yeah. You can go first.
I gave all this praise to Georgia and what they need to do. Unfortunately, I don't think they're gonna do it. I got LSU pulling this one out probably 31-20.
Yeah, I got LSU with a 10-point win over Georgia.
Same.
You got
Alrighty.
LSU as well. All right.
Oh yeah.
All right. So that's a clean sweep by LSU by 10. All right.
Yeah, and coming next is the championship game everybody is going to want to watch. Clemson versus Virginia in the ACC.
Yikes.
Do they really have to televise this game?
I mean, they should only televise it. They should watch the first 5 minutes, and if
Turn off the
if
TV.
if Clemson hasn't scored in the first 5 minutes, then keep it on. But if they scored, then just switch it to Hallmark.
I don't know how Virginia has a chance in this game, man. I really don't. Did you say Hallmark?
Yeah, that'd be better to watch.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think I'd
You
rather watch
already
a
know
blog than a
Dom's-
Hallmark movie.
Yeah, you already know Dom's on a Hallmark.
Let me tell you guys something. Guess how many points Clemson is favored by in this game, and it's a championship game.
30.
That's actually really goddamn close.
How much is it?
The line is 28.5 in favor of Clemson.
Oh
Jesus.
God.
This is a championship game,
Hey,
folks.
I mean the ACC is really competitive this year.
Oh yeah, the fucking most competitive it's been in years. No, not even close. Not a single team in the ACC besides Clemson was good this year.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much to talk about that game. Let's just give our predictions on it.
No, I
Yeah,
think we all just did.
I think I would take Clemson with the over. I think they're definitely scoring. I think they're winning by over 28.5. To be honest with you, I think it's a blowout, not even close.
Here, let's
If
here let,
Virginia
let's
somehow pulls out the upset, praise the Lord. If that would make college football craziness in the playoff. Does Clemson stay in at the 4? Do 2 teams come in and take their spots? That'd be amazing, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. Clemson by a wide margin.
here. Expanding on that, because Colton, you're gonna choose Clemson, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I'm also choosing Clemson, but let's say this: what happens if Virginia wins?
Clemson, get the fuck out of here.
You think you don't think Clemson makes it in?
If you lose to Virginia,
I don't. Well,
well,
actually,
then again,
yeah, I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
see him.
know,
I don't
because
see him
Georgia
getting in.
lost to South Carolina, and they're the 4 right
No,
now.
I don't see him getting in because I think they think highly of Utah, and yeah, I don't see it.
Oh, like
Well,
they
what if
don't think
Utah
highly of
loses?
Clemson?
No, they don't think highly of Clemson. You're returning national champs with very few players.
They haven't played anybody.
Okay, Colton, returning champs with very few players that left, and they rank him as the 3rd best team out of the
Yeah,
Well,
that's
because
undefeated.
they're
good if they haven't
undefeated,
played
you gotta
anybody.
well, you have to put the undefeated team above everybody, especially if they're a national defending champ.
So,
But
and hey,
because
you got to
the committee
think.
did say, compared to the top 3 undefeated teams, there was way more discussion about the 1 and 2 between LSU and Ohio State than there was any discussion with Clemson up there.
You have to also think about this. Where was Clemson ranked in the first when the committee first? They
in the
weren't
top
even
4.
in. So that tells you that they don't really think of Clemson as a high. Like if they lose, I don't think they get in.
The
I think
problem is,
they're-
though, if they lose, who takes their spots if someone like Utah loses? I think Clemson stays if that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, Utah, and whoever wins in the Baylor Oklahoma game,
They both move in.
they both will go in. I don't think Clemson will make it in at all. And I hope it happens because I hope it makes Dabo start playing some teams.
I hope it happens too. I don't see it happening. And honestly, I still think even if Clemson loses, I'd rather see a Clemson in there than Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
a
it would
Clemson
also
versus Ohio State LSU would be way more interesting than Utah.
I think it would also put a lot of buzz around college football though. So maybe they might like the idea of that. So
Maybe. Let's
right.
move on to the Big Ten, the last championship game of the night.
this is
The number
supposed to
one
be
ranked team in the country, Ohio State versus Wisconsin.
The Ohio State.
actually. I want to look up what they predict the score gap's going to be in this.
Ohio State's favored 16.5 is the line.
16.5. Okay.
Yeah, I don't find Wisconsin that good. I'm very confused why they're ranked 8 by the committee. I don't know. Maybe it's just a strength in Ohio State's schedule even more to keep them as a lock at the 8 if they win. I mean, at the lock at the 1 if they win, but I don't find Wisconsin the number 8 team in the country.
The only thing I can think about for this, besides because everybody thinks Ohio's going to blow them out, when I watched back the game, Ohio and Wisconsin, it was Ohio started off really slow. Like
And
they
they still
scored I
crushed them.
think 31 points in the second half. I think that's where they scored 30 plus. So I think they have to start out stronger, which they do play really well in bowl games. So, but they did start out really slow against them.
I don't see this game being very close. Ohio State has a great defense. I feel like they can contain Taylor. And if they force Wisconsin to pass, Chase Young in the pass rush, this game is over. Ohio State by a lot. There's too many weapons on their offense for Wisconsin to stop. I don't think they can stop both Jalen Hurts and J.K. Dobbins. If they let J.K. Dobbins get on a roll, that means Justin Fields is on a roll with play action and the unknowns of what's coming at you on the defense. I just don't think it's close to Ohio State by a lot.
Yeah, I agree as well. Just another sign for Wisconsin to look out for is Fields got hurt in the Michigan game with his knee brace. Got a new knee brace on, and he just said he needed a bigger one. that could be something that they're thinking about, rushing him out of the pocket, maybe making him move around. But I don't see them moving him too much around in the pocket. I got him big with 20 point plus. Colton,
Yeah.
you bet the same on that?
Yeah, I agree with what Dom said. Yeah, I don't
All
say
right.
really. Job basically covered what I was gonna say. So yeah,
Okay. Let's move on to the college hoops recap. What's the first game you want to go on, Dom?
I'm gonna go with the disappointing show of Michigan versus the number one team in the country, Louisville. Michigan was coming off a great Battle for Atlantis tournament where they had two big upsets, very handled upsets too. Got them all up to number four. They go get their another big test on the road against Louisville at Louisville, and they just crapped the bed. They looked like they weren't ready for this moment.
Yeah, I mean they only scored 18 points in the first half.
And it's
18.
not, yeah. People are saying Louisville's defense was so good, but honestly, Michigan just looked like they were rushing their offense and they just were putting up bad shots because they didn't know what they wanted to do.
Yeah, they didn't look like they did when they were out playing in the Bahamas for sure.
And the Bahamas, that offense looked so sound. They're making all these great passes. They're making the extra pass. And this one, it just seemed like they were shooting way too early. They were trying to move way too late in the game clock, and they just did not get a good offensive possession for most of this game.
Yeah, I mean they haven't looked like that all season, and they played two great teams, and then this happened. I don't know if they were just feeling off, what was going on, but I bet
it was the Bahamas, man.
they
They're
definitely
feeling good in the Bahamas, huh?
they definitely they're gonna learn a lot from this game though. I bet because I mean they have so much that they were probably mixing around working with this season, and then they got those two wins, bumped them up pretty high. I bet this is a big learning for them though, and I think they'll bounce back pretty strong from it.
Be a top team. A lost number one team in the country isn't going to bump you too far down. You're
Oh
still
yeah,
going to do fine. You're gonna do great. Don't worry about this loss. Put it behind you. Have a great season.
agreed.
All right, what's next?
The Duke versus Michigan State game. This game was at Michigan State, and I thought it would be a lot closer because of it. But Duke really did not give a shit where this game was played.
What do you
Duke
mean
came
by
out
that? What do you mean by that?
firing. I thought most people say it's very hard to play in East Lansing, which it is. It's a very tough place to play. But Duke was unfazed by this environment. They came out guns a-blazing and were up 16 at the half.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State 5-3. They haven't been
Not
really.
the way you wanted to start the season after being ranked number one.
Yeah, I mean, what is going on?
I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
they
all their
expected more
losses are
production.
to top 10 teams, but
it's
They-
not like they weren't close.
I mean, the game never seemed like it was close.
True.
Although it was a 12-point loss, it still felt like it was a terrible game for Michigan State, and like they never had a chance to come back and win this game. Outside of Xavier Tillman's 20 points, and obviously Cassius Winston has 7 assists, 12 points. He always has a decent game. Michigan State needs to find some production from somebody else on this team.
yeah, they've just been struggling in these big games. I don't know.
I don't know if there's stars in this team that just aren't showing out yet. One thing I heard while watching the game was apparently Aaron Henry for their team was supposed to be a big scorer, and he didn't take a single shot in the first half. He took 2 shots the whole game, and he's supposed to be a big time scorer for them. If you're a big time scorer, you better be taking more than 2 shots a game.
Yeah, they've been struggling. They definitely have some stuff to figure out. I don't. They got to start picking it up if they want to be considered a highly team.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, Duke, big win. Keep it going. You're coming off that Stephen F. Austin loss that everybody keeps talking about. You just keep doing you, and you will earn back your respect like you always do. I think this is a nice win for Duke, and they will continue to build off of it.
Yeah, definitely after that Stephen Austin loss, this is winning
Yeah.
against a top team like Michigan State. It's a good win for them. All right, you want to move on to Indiana again?
Yeah. The Big Ten ACC Challenge brought some upsets, and the Indiana Florida State game was one of them.
Florida State's not going to
Now,
be ranked anymore after
no,
this.
they're gone. Indiana deserves to be ranked. They're 8-0. They just beat a ranked team, 80-64. I will say though, it was at Assembly Hall, which is one of the toughest places to play in the country. So I would expect this to be a close game. It wasn't very close. Florida State showed up for not much of this game. They were just getting manhandled on all aspects of this game. Offensively, defensively, they just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, I mean, at half, Florida State was down by 10. It, like, it was, I mean, that's kind of close,
it's not
but
bad. It's not bad, but when you come out and then Indiana goes on another run and just extends their lead, and you just never come back, like that 10-point lead just shows you just were not ready for this team.
yeah, I mean, they're shooting, like, their 3 points percentage in that game was 36%. That's pretty.
I mean that's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but I mean,
But you need to do better, especially on the rebounding category. Florida State was out rebounded 35-25.
oh yeah, you definitely need to get rebounds if you're playing at at that high pace of a game too. If you're not getting the rebounds in there, you're not going to perform at all. And that actually puts a perfect segue into it in one of our next games.
Yep.
You want to talk about that game? Yeah, let's talk about it.
Hold on.
Oh,
We still have Purdue.
Oh,
That
okay.
game was
Sorry, I
huge.
just want to skip. I want to skip.
Purdue versus Virginia. Purdue upset the 5 seed Virginia, and the game was a slaughter.
You could tell just by the first half it was going to be a slaughter.
Yeah, it was just never close. Everybody was
Yeah.
talking about Virginia's defense, how great it is this
And
year.
Purdue's
how-
not one of those like crazy like teams that was underrated. Like Purdue's 5-3 right now.
Virginia was a crazy overrated team.
I think that's obvious now.
They lost so many players, yet not the committee, but the polls thought so highly of them.
Like
And not too many people understood why, and this game shows why people were so confused. They have no offense.
well, they shot 16% from the three. 16%.
Yeah. When you only score 50 to 60 points a game, you're going to need to make a couple threes here and there.
Yeah, I mean Purdue.
It doesn't
I
help
guess
that
you-
Purdue
I guess
shot
you could-
52% from the three.
I guess, yeah, I was gonna say. I guess you could argue Purdue just maybe had an on night because 50% from the three. That's pretty
Jesus.
good. So
I just think this one gets me hyped up for next week's game, Virginia versus North Carolina.
That's actually Saturday.
Oh, true. Or Sunday.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm too hyped about that game after watching both of these teams play.
That's why I'm hyped. It's gonna be a
Speaking of North Carolina, they played Ohio State. They were the 7th-ranked team in the country against the 6th-ranked team in the country at the Dean Smith Center. It was supposed to be a very close game. It was close for the first few minutes. The Tar Heels lost their starting center in Armando Bacot, and
then
after
Ohio
that,
State started taking out bodies.
After that, it seemed like North Carolina forgot how to play offense.
Yeah, I mean, who'd they bring in? He was 6'10" center.
Baycott got hurt, and then we were just left with our other forward, Garrison Brooks, and we had to bring in a smaller lineup with the smaller 3/4 Justin Pierce, the transfer. And once we lost Baycott, we stopped going to the paint, and they just continuously were shooting jump shots, and nobody on that team knew how to make a jump shot, and that was not working for them, yet they continued to do it. While on the flip side, Ohio State, they looked pretty well with their jumpers and their inside game. Caleb, was it Wesson?
Caleb Wesson.
First of all, let me tell you something. I watched him last year. He does not even resemble who he was last year.
Yeah,
He's lost a ton of weight.
He dropped 50
ton of
pounds.
weight.
Because he was thinking
He
about
looks
going.
really good.
He was thinking about leaving, and then he got a bunch of feedback about how he was 300 pounds. Like,
Yeah, he looks really good this year, and it's really helped his game because he's just took it that extra level, and he was lights out.
yeah, he can move around more now. He's a lot more mobile. So
He was almost automatic in the paint.
yeah, I mean, Ohio State's looking good this year. It's another thing that they predicted wrong. Ohio State was ranked like 17th or 15th, and they're all the way going to be in like the top they're going to be definitely in the top 5 now. So
Yeah, Ohio State has beaten a couple ranked teams handily this year now with this win over North Carolina and another 20-point win over Villanova. Ohio State, watch out for them in the Big Ten because they are a force to be reckoned with. Now, on the other side, North Carolina, if Armando Bacot is out for the foreseeable future, they need to find something on offense and they need to find it fast because this is not going well with Virginia and Gonzaga coming up soon in their schedule.
yep, it's yeah. If he's out, it's gonna be a rough season for them. And maybe he can come back for March, but
I don't think it'll be that long. I've heard the injury is not as bad as originally
it
expected.
didn't seem too
But-
like it seemed bad, but not like
Ankle sprains in basketball can take some time because the more you run on it, the worse it feels, and you just don't like playing with discomfort. It's just hard to play with, especially as a big center and all that weight on you.
And the North Carolina team is definitely if they stay in the top 15, 20, they're still gonna and then they bring Baycott back and for in March they'll be fine. It doesn't matter who they play, they're gonna play well and they're a good enough team
They
to
just need to figure it out on the offensive end here
Yeah.
soon, or otherwise their season maybe not looking too hot. They have a very tough schedule, and if their offense doesn't figure it out, they won't be winning too many games.
but it all comes down to how bad Baycott's injury really is.
Yes. All right. Enough of college sports. Let's get to the NFL and the game that happened last night between the Bears and the Cowboys. Would you like to start us off, Cole?
Not really. I mean, the Cowboys needed to show out in this game, and they started. Well, let's talk about how the game started out to begin with. The game started out really slow.
Dude, Ezekiel Eller was running all over him. Like,
Yeah, and
right out
then-
the gate.
And then
Then they started.
they just
They
stopped
started
running
making
him.
Dak Prescott throwing for some reason, and I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, they started out great with it. They just ran down the field, scored, using Elliott as the running back he should be, and
He
then
was running all over him too. It's not like he was just getting like a couple yards up, like a run. He was like running all over him, and then they just started throwing for some reason.
didn't the Bears score right after that drive?
Actually, no. The Bears came very close, and Mitchell Trubisky
Oh, yeah.
threw a interception. I think at like almost the goal line, and that was his only incompletion of the first drive.
That was a
Which kind of
crazy
spelled
catch.
a little bit of disaster at the beginning for the Cowboys. If you're letting Mitchell Trubisky throw 7 for 8 on his first drive, you might be in for a long one.
Yeah, that catch. If that catch doesn't happen, well, first of all, where did he throw that? Why?
I don't know. That was a very confusing pass. I don't think anybody understood what he was thinking. But it ended up not being costly because the next possession was a 3-and-out for the Cowboys, and they punted. And this is when the Bears' offense turned it on the rest of the first half.
Yeah, I mean, second quarter they scored half their points in 17. Like
17, and that was 17 unanswered. And the Cowboys, they had 2 3-and-outs, a missed field goal. That's how they ended their half. Was 2 3-and-outs and a field goal. The Bears had the ball for a long time. Then the Cowboys got it. They gave it right back. Their 2 3-and-outs were 1:19 and 58 seconds was how long they had the ball. Yikes.
I mean, Prescott, dude, he's throwing 50%.
Prescott missed a lot of passes.
50%. That's terrible.
Prescott missed a lot of passes. And then, to make things worse to start the second half, the Bears went on a 84-yard drive to score another touchdown.
Yeah, Trubisky, he started to move outside the pocket, and Bears found out how to score.
Yeah, they did. I don't know where this Mitchell Trubisky has been all season, but he needs to stay if the Bears want any shot of making the playoffs.
Because they have
I think
rough
this
schedule.
Mitchell Trubisky is gonna stay because he's been kind of popping off the last few weeks. Like he's been the Mitchell Trubisky from last year, and I think that's why everybody was hyping him up, and I think that's why he's kind of started off to a slow start.
Yes.
But I think he's gonna start popping off. You know.
This
This is the Mitchell Trubisky that Bears fans wanted. They expected this. After last season, they expected him to play like this. He hasn't been like this all season. Many people think it was because he was not moving around the pocket. He wasn't that running quarterback at times that he was last year, and it was hurting him because defense were not needing to worry about him running outside the pocket, and they could put more back in coverage, making him throw a more accurate pass, which he's not too good at this year. Once he's outside of the pocket and defense has to respect his running abilities, it opens up the passing game tremendously for him, and he actually does really well.
Oh yeah, because
Do we think?
go ahead, Colton. Go ahead.
Do we think that they can come like? Do we think that this makes the Bears want to push for that second spot in their division? Maybe like.
Well,
'Cause
this
the
is definitely
Vikings
gonna,
are only 8-4.
well,
I mean,
yeah. I mean, they have to push if they want to. They gotta win these next games in order.
They have to win out. They have
Yeah.
to win out. They have 3 more
Who do
games. They play the
They play the
Chiefs,
Packers.
the Vikings, and Packers. These are the 3 games they have left.
In
I
that
don't
order?
know what
In that
the
order?
I don't
Oh.
believe that's the order. I was just naming the 3 that I remember. I
think-
think it's
They play
I
the
think
Packers
it's-
next week.
it is. Let me look. Yes, they play the Packers next week. Is correct. Then the Chiefs and Vikings. So the Bears actually can pretty much control their fate almost. If they can win out, that causes a Vikings loss, and all they need is the Vikings to lose one more game, and they would steal that wild card from them.
But
Now
it might not
they
be
still-
possible for the Vikings to
they-
lose.
the Vikings do play the Packers, which would be a tough game.
They're playing the Lions, Chargers, and Packers, then Bears. And
Yeah,
they gotta
so it's not
lose
like-
two.
Yeah, so the Bears one loss. The Bears can control that. They control one of the 2 losses, but then they have to hope for some help.
They gotta lose against the Packers if they're gonna
Oh
lose.
yeah. Then also the Bears need one more team to lose out, and that would be the St. Louis Rams. I believe they need to lose about 2 or 3 games because I think they would win the tiebreaker over the Bears after that head-to-head win.
What?
But fortunately for the Bears, the Rams play both the 49ers and Seahawks still on their schedule, so that could definitely be 2 losses to help the Bears in at 10-6, and the Rams to just miss out with 9-7. But this is all speculation. Will it happen? I don't know. The Bears have played
I mean,
2
Yeah, the Bears
right
could lose next week, and
I can see
this
the
wouldn't
Bears
matter.
beating the Vikings because they beat them earlier this year.
They
by
could
a
also
pretty
beat the
hefty
Packers.
margin,
The Packers
too.
Yeah,
game was
well,
a very
they beat
close
them by
game.
10. But
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
It all just depends on how Mitchell Trubisky plays these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think if Mitchell Trubisky plays like Mitchell Trubisky, the way he's been playing the past few weeks, if he keeps that going, which I think he will, then I think that they could creep up into that #1 spot in their division. If not, definitely #2.
I don't think they can take the #1 spot. I feel like the Packers have to lose out in order to do that. I don't think they lose out. I'm pretty sure the Packers have a nice little schedule left besides the Bears.
Redskins this week, Bears, Vikings, Lions.
Yeah, I don't see them losing to the Redskins and Lions. I'm sorry for that. I think the Bears creep in for the wild card spot if they can upset some of these teams, because I don't think the Bears are the favorites for most of these games, if not any of them, because they have not been playing too well this year. But if Mitchell Trubisky plays how he gives them a good shot at winning all 3 of these games and giving the Bears the best shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's basically summed it up pretty well.
On the flip side, the Cowboys, where do they go from here?
They just need to stay on top of the NFC or the NFC East. They just gotta.
If they don't do that,
Well, the NFC East is pretty much going to come down to the Week 16 matchup between the Eagles and Cowboys. That's where it's going to come down.
it's going to be a fun one.
Well, they really only have to really worry about the Rams if they're gonna worry about anybody.
Even if they were to lose the Rams, they'd be 6-8. The Eagles would be probably 5-7, 6-7. If you beat the Eagles, you're both 8-loss teams, but you win the tiebreaker over the Eagles with your 2 wins over them this year, and then you just have to beat the Redskins. They literally only have to worry about the Eagles.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that they're gonna be a losing record though.
Well, they could be 8-8. They could be 8-8.
Oh yeah, true, but yeah, it's still sad.
Yeah, you definitely have to beat the Eagles because I don't think any other team is going to give the Eagles a loss. They play the Giants, Redskins, Cowboys, Giants.
Oh wait, Eagles are 500, right?
The Eagles are 5-7.
Oh. Oh yeah, I just looked. Well, they might have a chance then, because you know how they are against non-500 teams, that being the Cowboys. So,
No,
I
Cowboys
mean,
are perfect against.
Well,
that's what I meant.
well.
That's what I meant.
The Eagles could be 7-7 by the time they play the Cowboys.
And the Cowboys are fucked.
Yeah, then they're screwed because they're 0-1 versus teams that are 500.
0-1 versus teams of 500 and 0 a lot versus teams that are above 500.
So let's just keep them at below 500, and it's an easy win.
Better hope so. All right, let's keep it on with the NFL. Let's move on to the preview of these Sunday games. I think I'm just going to go through the list. I'm going to talk about some games that we don't really care about. We just get some predictions on it, and then I'm going to focus on some bigger games later on.
Ready?
All righty. The first one on my list, we're going to have the Broncos versus the Texans.
Broncos versus the Texans.
Texans coming off a huge win against the Patriots, and the Broncos coming off a little bit of an upset win with Drew Lock's first win against the Chargers.
Yeah,
You know what?
I don't
I see
see
the
it.
Broncos carrying in that hype. You know, I see them.
no.
I see them bringing the
Yeah.
hype over.
I don't know about that one.
You know what? You all said that last week. I'm keeping the Broncos hype going. I got them.
That was against the Chargers.
I don't.
This is against a totally different team in the Texans.
The Texans just
Um,
got a huge win over the Patriots. You don't think they're bringing that
Maybe.
hype in?
Maybe that could distract them, and they could see this as a lesser opponent. But even if they see him as a lesser opponent, I don't see how the Broncos can win this game. I've got the Texans.
I have the Texans as well.
All right, next up, Panthers versus the Falcons. This is a pretty shitty game. The Panthers have been playing awful lately, just losing to the Redskins.
But the Panthers
Yeah.
just lost their head coach, didn't they?
Yeah, it's even worse.
I don't know.
Not many teams like playing when they lose their head coach.
I'm going for Falcons. I don't think they're gonna do too well with their temp head coach for right now. I'm gonna go with Falcons.
The Falcons are 3-9, but they're probably the best 3-9 team in the NFL.
What were the Redskins? They're 3-9 too. So you can't.
I mean, the Falcons have lost by 8 points to the Saints. That's a great loss. They beat the Panthers a few weeks ago. They beat the Saints before that a few weeks ago. They only lost to the Seahawks by 7. Like, they play close games. They lose them, but they play close games sometimes. And I'm going to give this one to the Falcons because the Panthers, like Cole said, lost their head coach, haven't been playing well lately, and I think the Falcons take advantage of that and walk out.
I'm gonna have to agree with you guys. If they do that bad against the Redskins, I mean, there's no way they're gonna do any better against the Falcons. That's how I look at it. Like, I don't see them
All right.
extra motivation.
Coming at you from Cleveland, it is the Browns versus the Bengals. Bengals coming off their first win of the season.
I'm going Browns. I think Baker Mayfield he got too much in the limelight, lost, and now I think he's got his head back on track.
This is pretty much their last hope of making the playoffs, even though it's the slimmest of margins because you just gave the Steelers all the advantage over you. It's going to be extremely difficult. You're getting a lot of help. Even if you do win out, you more than likely don't make the playoffs. But the Browns got to play for some pride. They were coming into the season with all kinds of hype, and they've let their whole fan base down. You got to beat the Bengals, though. I take the Browns.
Yeah. Same.
Yep, I got the Browns as well. I gave the Bengals their first win. That's probably going to be their only win.
All right, Redskins and Packers.
Packers.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody.
Yeah, the Redskins have been some nice wins the last couple of weeks, but they haven't played anybody near the caliber as the Packers. I don't think this game is close. Dwayne Haskins, you can think it might be, but you're playing Green Bay, buddy.
Yep.
I think that's all we got to say about that one.
Sums it up pretty good.
Staying in the NFC North, we have the Vikings versus the Lions.
Vikings. Didn't they? Vikings just lost like last week, didn't they? Yeah, the Seahawks.
Seahawks,
But it was a close
yeah.
game. Vikings have been playing well.
Lions have not.
Yeah, I mean,
Lions have been losing every game since they saw the black cat.
yeah, the play.
Yeah, that's funny. Every single cat team has. Oh well, dang.
Yeah, it's still on right now. Yeah, the Black Cat's still undefeated.
Or defeated.
No, well, I meant like it's undefeated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got the Vikings
The
winning that.
Vikings. It's a Vikings blowout win here. I don't think Detroit stands a chance.
And it's at home for the Vikings as well.
All right, we got a powerhouse game up next, boys. We have the Dolphins taking on the New York Jets.
What was it? What? You
Dolphins
said
and Jets.
powerhouse?
Yeah, what's wrong with the powerhouse? I think it's a
uh,
pretty powerhouse game. Two great teams.
tickets as low as $10. Powerhouse.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go with the Jets because they're at home, but I don't
I
think
don't think I could pick the
anybody.
Jets.
I don't think anybody wants to watch this game.
After they
I
lost
got
to
the
the Eagles
Dolphins, man.
last week, I'm picking the Dolphins, man.
Yeah, I'm going with the Dolphins. They've been
Jets are at an
not
all-time
terrible.
low. All-time low.
Yeah, but they haven't been. Well, they got killed by the Browns, but they haven't been terrible. They haven't
Miami's
been
got
losing
Ryan
terribly.
Fitzpatrick. That man is money. I'm just kidding. He's not money. He's old. I
I
love
mean,
the dude,
last
though.
week he
Keep it
was
going.
on. Last
The
week he was
last
on.
couple weeks, the last 3 weeks, all right. Last week they didn't play that bad, the Dolphins, because they won. The 2 weeks before that they played pretty shit. They beat the Colts. Yeah, I think I'm going with the Dolphins.
Alright, I'm not.
All right, we're going to another game that nobody's going to care about. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Buccaneers. The Colts are coming off a hard loss against the Titans that probably knocked them out of their division race and more than likely the wild card because of the many tiebreakers they will lose against the Buccaneers, who I don't really think have a purpose in this season.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Bucks.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go with the Bucks. They've been playing a little decent lately. The Colts have not. They've been struggling. And a game in Tampa, I don't know if there's much of an advantage at a home field for Tampa, but I'm just going to pick Tampa because both these teams are not very good this year, and I think Tampa's been playing a little better recently.
Going for the Colts. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They're gonna turn it around.
All
All
right,
right.
staying in the AFC South, we have the Chargers against the Jaguars. Chargers coming off a very dumb loss versus the Broncos after an idiotic play, and we have the Jaguars who are just not on the right track after benching their starting quarterback.
I got the Chargers coming back furious from that game and pulling out a win.
I'm gonna give it to the Jaguars.
You're gonna give it to the Jaguars after they benched their starter?
Yeah, I'm going to go with
Yeah.
the Chargers. I think the Jaguars have too many problems right now. That's about all I need to say. Another boring game. We have the Titans and Raiders. Man, there's a lot of boring games this week.
As there
Titans
is,
coming off a win against the Colts, big division win. They're 7-5, still have a lot of playoff hopes. Only one game behind Houston in their division. Pretty nice. They're playing the Raiders, who have been struggling as of late. Had a nice start to the season, but have not been doing much recently. I think it's an easy take for the Titans.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree on that one.
yeah, I'm gonna go with the Titans.
All right, two more games before we get to the good ones. Finally, we have the Steelers, who are coming off a nice revenge game over the Browns, and the Cardinals, who got blown out.
Yeah, but just gonna have to go with the Steelers.
Yeah.
Yep. Steelers, not even close. Next, we have a crazy NFC East matchup, the best division in football, the New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, buddy.
Don't even
Um,
think the Giants have a chance at all.
Yeah.
No, the Giants are dog. And by the way, Eli Manning is playing.
Okay, they definitely don't have a chance.
Eli Manning is playing, so
Yeah.
that pretty much sums it up.
Let's go
Why?
Carson Wentz in Philly.
Yep.
Wrap it up. All right. So now we're going to talk about some bigger games this week. The Ravens are going to Buffalo and taking on the Bills, who have been like we've said in the past few weeks, the Bills have been a surprisingly good team this year, and they are playing really good football.
I think the Bills stop. I think they stop the Ravens.
Really, even after the Ravens come off a big win
Yep.
against the San Francisco
This Bills
49ers,
defense is pretty damn good.
and they're in Buffalo. That's a nice crowd to play
Yeah.
around.
This Bills defense is. I feel like they're the defense to stop Lamar Jackson. I think they. I've been watching some of the ESPN commentators and watching what the Bills want to do with everything. I feel like the Bills have got it. What their game plan is solid and down. I feel like they know what they want to do. I'm gonna go with Bills.
So I'm gonna go ahead and have to disagree with you on that one. I think the Ravens are gonna keep this little thing that they got going, and because they haven't been losing like or winning by a little bit. They've been like blowing teams out besides the 49ers, but the Rams 45-6, Ravens or no, the Texans 41-7. Yeah, they've been killing teams. So I'm gonna think they're gonna keep it going, especially with the hype of beating the 49ers. I think they're gonna keep it going.
Oh, they're gonna be too high.
I'm going to go with the Ravens here as well. I don't think it's a blowout. I think the Bills somewhat contain Lamar Jackson. I think it's a closer game than people expect, but I think the Ravens probably win this game by 10.
All right.
Yep.
Moving on to the 49ers versus Saints, probably one of the biggest games of the week.
Saints, Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, too good of a connection. Saints have been on a roll.
This is also at New Orleans in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
So yeah, Saints have been on a roll.
I think the 49ers are going to come in pretty pissed off that they just lost to the Ravens. And I think that they're going to want that revenge win that they're going to be craving, and I think they're going to play like that, play how like that they want it, and I think that they're going to come on top. It's not going to be a lot. I think it's going to be like a field goal difference, but I think it's going to be the 49ers.
I agree with the 49ers in this one just because I don't think the Saints defense is very good and the 49ers defense is elite. The 49ers coming off a super close win, what many consider as the best team in the NFL right now of the Ravens. The Saints, great offense, yes, but you need a great defense to go with it. It's not that great. The offense can perform, but I feel like the 49ers defense can slow them down enough to where Jimmy G and the San Francisco offense can just outscore the Saints in this one and win it.
All right.
Moving on, we have another big game for the Patriots this week against the Chiefs.
Patriots and the Chiefs.
It's home for the Chiefs, right?
No, it is home for the Patriots.
I think Patty Mahomes is gonna get the dub. I don't know.
Yeah, there's been a lot of hatred on Tom Brady. I think that hatred keeps going. I got Mahomes as well.
Yeah.
I also have the Chiefs because the Patriots' 2 losses this season are against teams with running mobile quarterbacks. And what do the Chiefs have? Running mobile quarterback. And Mahomes is a great passer. Chiefs are a good team. Patriots are really confused right now about what exactly their team is, what exactly their offense is. I think the Chiefs go into Gillette Stadium and pull one out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's just there's been a lot going on with Tom Brady and how he's been feeling. I think that might be getting in his head a little bit. So yeah,
Right.
I got Patty Mahomes.
And finally, we have the Seahawks versus the Rams. The Seahawks coming off a big win versus the Vikings. The Rams coming off a blowout win against the Cardinals. Both teams looking like they're starting to find something.
I just don't think that blowout win's gonna help them in any way of going over the Seahawks. Seahawks have been on.
Yeah. I have to agree.
Seahawks are on a 5-game winning streak.
For the Rams, it's almost do or die at this point because they are clinging to these last wild card spots, and they cannot lose much more, especially with a matchup with the 49ers in a few weeks. But I just think the Seahawks are just way too good right now. At the number 2 seed in the playoffs projected right now, they're at the top of the division after a win over the 49ers a few weeks, and the 49ers loss last week gives them that advantage. I think the Seahawks are a great team. Very well could be a Super Bowl contender. I just don't think the Rams are good enough.
Right.
Yep, I would say the same.
All right, that wraps up the NFL games, and that brings me to our upsets of the week. You kind of covered them. You kind of covered some of the upsets you thought, but give me one from college football and one from the NFL that you have almost a lock to be an upset this week.
Locked. I don't know about locked for college because that's gonna be hard.
Yeah, not a lock, but the one that you have the most confidence in.
Most confidence in.
Mine's Baylor. I think they're gonna.
You have Baylor as your upset of the week in college football, upsetting Oklahoma.
Yeah.
All righty, Cole. What about you?
I don't have the most confidence in this, but I'm still gonna pick it because I just want Georgia to win.
Oh, so you're picking Georgia over LSU. I'm going to tell you this. The line is only a 7-point favorite for LSU. That is tied for the lowest in these championship games.
My picks have been
Yeah.
pretty spot on this past couple of podcasts. I'm going with Georgia.
All right, and I'm going to continue with the Utah hate, and I'm going to pick Oregon over Utah because Utah's not that good. Oregon's going to show that, and Oregon's going to win this game, like I said earlier, 14.
All
Alrighty.
right.
And then your NFL picks, boys.
Um.
Let me see. Let me see. Hmm. I don't know because there's
Wait.
not
Who did
really
I
too many.
say? Didn't I say the Dolphins were gonna win?
I don't know
I
if I
mean,
really
you
picked
Yeah.
picked
any.
the
I might.
Dolphins
I
over
might
the
keep.
Jets. I don't think I find that as an upset.
Damn,
I
who did
mean, I
say
guess
was
the
gonna-
Chiefs upsetting the Patriots, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna go.
That's definitely an upset. We
but
could
yeah, I
definitely
think that's like the
choose.
only one that I picked
Yeah.
as.
I believe you picked the Bills over the Ravens.
Oh wait, no, I didn't
Oh
pick that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I guess
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
yeah,
the Chiefs one because that's like the only one that I
yeah.
said.
I'll go with the Bills over the Ravens for my upset.
Looking at these games, I'm but technically the 49ers are not the favorite against the Saints. I still think they win. I'm not taking that as an upset. It's too close of a game. I'm going to agree with Colton here, and I'm going to pick my upset to be the Chiefs over the Patriots. I think the Patriots are struggling. Chiefs are going to take advantage of it. They're going to go into Foxborough, a really tough place to play, really tough environment, including weather for most teams. Patty Mahomes is going to stick one out with the Chiefs, and they're going to pull off an upset over the Patriots for the second week in a row.
All right.
All right. Here's our upsets for the week.
And that brings us to our final segment of just all around baseball news that's been happening around MLB recently.
Mike Moustakas going to the Cincinnati Reds. How about that one?
That's a nice little pickup for the Reds. They needed someone. I believe they said he's going to play second base for them.
All right, but I think the biggest one of this week would have to be Zach Wheeler going to the Philadelphia Phillies, just making that starting five rotation just one bit better than it already has been.
Yeah, he signed with Philly, 118 million for 5 years. That's a pretty big deal for Zach. It's also pretty big because he stays in the same division as his former team, the Mets, and that's not good news for the Mets. Because one, they lose one of their best pitchers, and two, now they got to face him multiple times a year.
The Phillies are pretty stacked if you think about it.
They are making their team look pretty nice. I would agree.
All right.
But sticking with Zach Wheeler, Colton, I know you're a White Sox fan. How does it
Yeah.
make you feel when you hear that another top agent, no, top free agent, chose a smaller contract to be with a different
All right.
team when the White Sox are offering more money?
It doesn't really bother me because I know that when all the trading comes around, they have a good enough farm system and like decent enough players already up that they could trade for a good fifth pitcher or a fourth.
But
Like,
wouldn't it
fourth
just be
man, I don't
nice to just get that free agent once? You just missed out on Machado last year for San Diego, and now you missed out on Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, it's hurtful, but I don't really think it. I think they know what they're doing. That being the
Why
White
do you
Sox,
think all these free agents are just passing up on the White Sox?
because they're the White Sox. Nobody
Like,
wants to play for
I
the White
mean,
Sox.
last year Machado signed with the Padres. The Padres aren't too special either.
Well, they offered them more, like
I
not by
mean,
a lot, but
with
like,
California taxes, it's not more.
and they also tried to sign his brother-in-law, like that was gonna do anything. But
Yeah, that was a really dumb tactic on their part. I don't know, just stupid. I don't get it. But moving on, there is rumors going around that Mad Bum is expecting at least $100 million this year in free agency.
he's not. I don't want to say he's not worth it, okay? Because
He's not worth it.
Madison
I'll say
Bumgarner,
it.
okay?
Okay,
He's gonna say he's gonna sell the tickets. He's gonna get people interested. It is gonna, but he's not at his peak of his career anymore. I
No,
think
he's going
he's
down.
going downhill. I don't really see him being worth 100 million. Maybe like 50 million, maybe 70
50.
million.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You don't have to go that low.
Okay,
You can give him
maybe
80,
70.
90, 80 to
All
90.
right, all right.
but 100 is a lot, especially for a guy that's not been pitching his best baseball that he's capable of. Is he capable of getting back to it? Is a question that many don't know. He had a couple of
Like,
accidents.
is he wanting 100 million a year? Like, what does he want?
No, 100 million total. He just wants a contract that's gonna be $100 million.
Um,
Probably, I'm gonna guess probably a
how
4 or 5 year I'm gonna
I
guess
don't
4 years for 25 a year is what I'm guessing Madison Bumgarner would want.
I don't see him going anywhere except for maybe who are the Astros losing this year for their starting
Um,
lineup?
I'll tell you right now who people if they see him going to. They have big people. They say he may go back to the Giants. A Twins are the favorite, and then the White Sox are also in out trying to get in on the sweepstakes.
I think he'd be a decent fit for the Sox. They need a fifth man, but I don't think he would be a fifth. But he'd probably be like a fourth or a third because they got Kopech, Lopez, and Giolito. But I don't.
You don't think that Bumgarner would be your number two?
Depending on how Kopech starts out his season, I mean, he's gonna sell more tickets than Bumgarner, I think.
I don't think so. You have a former World Series MVP who pretty much carried the White Sox, the San Francisco Giants to these playoffs, carried them in the World Series, and carried them to the win.
All right, I'm not saying like throughout the season. That's why I said at the start because I think you got your dude who's throwing freaking 106 mile an hour is coming off of Tommy John surgery, and everybody wants to see how he's gonna do. I think people are gonna buy more Kopech tickets than, but that's not the point. All right, the point is, would he be a decent fit for the Sox? And I think he would. I think they're looking for that extra guy in their rotation. I think they need to call up like a Carson Fulmer to be like their fifth man or something like that. I don't know. Because Carson Fulmer's not bad. He'd be a good fifth man. Like imagine this being their rotation. Okay. You
Okay,
got Giolito.
wait, hold on. I love how you're talking about the White Sox, but we are focusing on Mad Bum. We are not doing a GM of the
I
week.
know.
We're not
I'm
bringing up
trying
any
to
White
say.
Sox. We are
I'm
talking
just
about
trying to
Mad
say like, yeah, we're talking about Mad Bum, and you said that the White Sox were a contender. Like, how would he fit into their rotation? Because they already got a good young rotation. They just need like a good fourth or fifth man. I don't think that they need him, but I think that he would be an okay fit. I think
I
they
think he'd be a lot more than okay. I think he'd be a great pickup for the White Sox. I don't think you can rely so much on a farm system because they're not proven. They were also only pitching in AAA, which is nowhere near major league
thing
talent. I
is,
think Madison Bumgarner has shown himself. I think he's proven himself. I think he'd be a great pickup for the White Sox. I think he'd be your true starting pitcher.
all right, agreed. But all right, yeah. I think they need to. At the end of the day, the White Sox just need to get a freaking bullpen because their bullpen is dog shit. So I think that that's what they're focusing on. Going back to the Zach Wheeler thing, I
Main
think
priority would be a
that's why it
bullpen
wasn't
for the
that
White
much of a
Sox.
yeah.
All right, and finally for baseball news, it has been let known that the Yankees ownership has let people know that they are willing to give Garrett Cole a record deal in free agency.
Even bigger than Machado's last year.
I think Bryce Harper has the biggest deal. Yes.
No, Machado has the biggest from last year. He has like the record for the biggest free agent signing. Because what was his
Um,
like 300 million or something like that?
yeah, but then once people said we brought in the all the taxes and everything, it really wasn't that much. I just read an article. It says Bryce Harper's deal with the Phillies is the largest in North American sports.
All right. Either way, I don't know. I think it'd be a good pick. I think the Yankees need him.
Yeah, I think the Yankees need one more great pitcher to get them over the hump. This would be the great pitcher. I think Brian Cashman and Steinbrenner need to open their pocketbooks and give this man as much money as he wants because they are going to be in a bid off with the West Coast and the Los Angeles Angels, who really would like Garrett Cole as well. And Garrett Cole could really boost Los Angeles Angels and their chances of making the playoffs with a star like Mike Trout.
True. And Yoshei Tommy, is that his name?
Yeah,
Switch
Otani
hitter who's also a pitcher. Yeah, I think that combo.
could be. It could be very nice. It could be very nice. But
That's
we just got to see how it goes out these next few weeks, what Garrett Cole wants, and he ultimately will make the decision. But I think it's big that the Yankees have
that's
let known they are finally willing to open their pocketbooks and give someone a record deal. Because last year they were said to be in on Bryce Harper Machado, but then did not give them any big offers. They were not willing to. They didn't find them big enough free agents. They didn't find them important
The
enough to go after.
the White Sox, they're not looking at Cole, right?
They are, they were, but I think they believe they don't have enough money, nor do they think Cole would want to come to them.
I disagree with that one because they offered Machado like what, $1 million or like $3 million less than what the Padres offered him. They were still going to offer him like almost a
The
record-breaking
problem
deal.
is they've already offered a decent amount of money to Yasmani Grandal. They also
Deservingly,
but they also don't see Cole wanting to come to the White Sox. Cole has said he wants to go to a big time contender that is already contending. He wants to be on a top team. He wants some money, and I feel like the only individuals that can do that are the Yankees. And there's also said that he wants to play on the West Coast because that is where he's from. So that's where the Los Angeles Angels come into play.
and the Dodgers aren't looking at him, right?
They are
Are
said
they?
to be thinking about coming into the sweepstakes, but they don't know if they're willing to spend the money on him because they're also looking at Steven Strasburg and Anthony Rendon.
That would be a stacked. That would be a stacked starting five. Let's talk about that. Where do we think Steven Strasburg is gonna go?
If Washington willingly ends up deciding to pay him, he'll stick with Washington. But there's rumors that Washington is not willing to pay him. Why? I don't know, because he is your World Series MVP and just won you the World Series, and he's a great pitcher who still has many years to come. But if you're not willing to offer him money, Strasburg, he could end up anywhere. If the Yankees miss out on Cole, he could end up there. He could end up in Los Angeles. He could go many places.
Right? Yeah.
Rendon, I've heard it's between the Nationals, Rangers, and Dodgers. Depends on the money, obviously. But I feel like the Nationals ultimately end up with either one of the Strasburg or Rendon. I don't know if they end up with both, but one of them will end up back on the Nationals.
Yeah. I think. I can't see Rendon going. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really predict it because I don't know. You can't predict something like
Yeah, you can't predict free agency. You just can't.
because everybody was thinking last year that the Sox were going to get Machado and Harper. Then they thought that they were only going to get Machado. Then everybody knew they were going to get Machado. And then the Padres just came out of nowhere and said, "Nope, we're getting Machado." And yeah, so you can't really I don't know. You can't. It's like that. You can't really predict it. You just have to assume. Yeah. I assume that the Nationals are gonna get Strasburg back. Unless somebody offers them more money before they do. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, this free agency in the next couple weeks will get very interesting.
Oh yeah. And I think that's going back on it. I think the Sox, Grandal cannot be their only free agent move. I think they're going to pick up some bullpen arms. They're going to pick up maybe one more outfielder, even though they don't really need to. Yeah. I think they're going to pick up bullpen arms, probably like 5 as they need. It's that bad. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
I think that about wraps up this final segment, about wraps up this podcast.
Yeah, I think so. That was a pretty good podcast. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Cool. You introed us in. Do you want to outro us out?
Yeah,
Outro us out.
Hope everybody enjoyed today's podcast. It's been what's this complete our second week of podcasts besides what we have going Sunday. I think so. If you guys have been enjoying, leave a like and comment if you guys want us to add any new segments into any of the days that we have the podcast. If you want us to add something to the Wednesdays or to the sports podcast, just let us know. Just leave a 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify. Drop a like and sub on YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it. See you guys on Sunday with Colton's Conspiracy Theory. And yeah, peace.